This is why I always buy my tech used for the most part. I'm Scott with Techno Eclipse. If you want to join the Techno Eclipse community, it is so easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, and then you will be subscribed to the most awesome tech and most passionate tech channel on YouTube. That's a bold claim, but I'm making it. So why do I always buy used? The main and most important reason is because of cost. So personally, I don't have thousands of dollars to go buy new computers, and I'm somebody who seems to always be changing up their computer. Since I started this channel, I have had 7 different computers that I use to edit videos. Actually like 8 or 9, but I didn't use those other computers for more than like a day. So I'm going to say 7 computers, and that's like about 12 months. So I like to go through computers. I think it's fun. I like to play with new ones. I like to play with old ones. I like to just tinker and have fun with those. So it's really good to be able to get really, really good performance for not that expensive. You could buy last year's computer, last year's whatever from any company and still get killer performance, and you'll be paying like less than half of what it was originally purchased for. And that sort of goes into the next point of buying new sucks, because the price that you bought it for, you'll never be able to get that for ever again, especially in regards to a computer. Essentially, when you buy it, the value of the computer goes down by like 30%, I'd say, unless it's like a Mac, then it goes down by like 10 or 20. But for the most part, it's like 30%. Like the second that you hit the buy button and it gets shipped to your house, it lost all of its value. The next reason sort of goes into that as well, price to performance. Obviously, when looking at used computers, you can get amazing price to performance. And what I mean by that is the actual cost per the performance. So each dollar that you spend on a used computer, you will get more performance in terms of whether it's CPU power or GPU power compared to buying it brand new and getting it the same performance, but you'd get worse performance when you compare the prices. So the price to performance is a lot better. For example, I bought a GTX 1070 for $185, and that card new still goes for like $400. So when you look at that, I could have bought it new, and I could have bought it used, and my price performance is way better buying it used because of how much money I saved and how much it actually only cost me. Next is something that a lot of people might be worried about, but I've never really been concerned about it, and that is if something were to break. Typically, if something breaks on a computer, I find it's 99% of the time it's just the hard drive, and hard drives are super easy to replace on pretty much any laptop that wasn't made by Apple in the last few years, but most laptops and desktop computers have removable hard drives, so it's super simple to actually replace those. You just pull it out and put a new one in. I know my girlfriend's dad just had a computer that was just broken, and all it really needed to do was have a reinstall of Windows 10, and he thought it was broken. And there have been other computers. I bought a Mac Pro that I featured a few videos back for $100 because the guy thought it was broken. All I had to do was put in a hard drive. It didn't even have a hard drive. All I had to do was put in a hard drive, and then it immediately started working. So a lot of the problems that I find, it normally comes down to a hard drive. Obviously, motherboards, CPUs, graphics cards, RAM, power supply, those can all fail. But from my experience, if it does fail like that, that's the risk you take. I personally have never had anything happen like that to me, and I've been buying used components for years now, ever since I was in college, and I find that it's a good way to be able to also make some money too, which leads me into my next point, in that you can make a lot of money buying used computers. I myself, in the last 3-4 years, have probably made $3,000 just buying and selling used computers. For example, that Mac Pro I mentioned is about an $800 computer with the upgrades that I added to it, and I bought it for about $100. So with like a $250 investment, it'll literally be worth $800. So that's a profit of $550, like no questions asked. Like that computer was worth more than $100, and I knew that. And on my channel, I have shown so many computers that I have bought and then resold or was going to resell. And I think that it's a really good way to actually make a good amount of money just as a hobby, because I get to play on the computers too. So I buy the computer, play on it for a few days, and then just sell it. So it's really cool. I get to experience all those new computers, or old computers but new to me type computers, and I get to make money doing it. Which sort of leads me into my next point again, in the fact that if you buy a used computer for what is not necessarily an amazing price that you can sell it for more in the future, then you can buy a computer that you're not sure if you want to buy, you're not sure if it's going to work for you, and if it doesn't work, you can literally sell it for that same price, and you can even make a little bit of money. Or if you overbought and you paid too much, you still only lose like a few percentages of what you paid, because the used market is pretty consistent. It just is sort of a steady decline. which is really cool because I have bought computers and used them for 4 months and then turn around and end up making like $200 on them. A MacBook Pro, my most recent one, I bought for $600 in July and ended up selling in November for $750. I gave the guy, or $740. I gave the guy a pretty good deal. But I made $140 and I was able to use that computer, edit a lot of videos on it for what is essentially almost half the year, 4 months. So that's really, really cool. I've been able to do that with a lot of computers, obviously, in my channel. If you've watched for a long time or if you go back and look at some of the cringy videos I used to make, these are still kind of cringy. I'm sure I'll look back and say the same thing. But you can definitely see that I can, play on old computers and use old computers and then sell them off and make money, which is really cool. So some people are going to be like, Scott, there are so many bad reasons to buy used. I got burned one time, and it's going to happen. You got to accept the fact that when you buy something used, if you don't do your due diligence, you're going to get burned. For example, if the guy tells you it is this type of computer with like a GTX 1070 inside of it and it only has a GTX 750, that's your fault. You should have checked. So if you are really smart about it, then you shouldn't ever get burned. And I have a few tips. One of them is just to make sure it's working. And if you feel uncomfortable having it work in public, if it's like a desktop, all you have to do is just have him send you a picture of something super specific from the computer. Just say, hey, send me a picture of the computer going to the monitor with like searching LeBron James or Techno Eclipse. That's what you should start saying. You're welcome. Or thank you. Thank you, not you're welcome. But that is a one tip I've used so many times and it has never failed me. Another tip is just to know what you're looking for in a computer. If you could give the person that you're buying it from very specific instructions and say, go here, right click properties, do that, show me what's on the inside of the computer, then you can actually know exactly what's on the inside, because a lot of people don't know what's in their computer. And if you know how to find it in Apple, you click the Apple logo and then hit system information. In a Windows computer, there's a couple ways. I normally just say hit this PC in your hard drives and then right click on the bottom, hit properties. Then it'll show you the system information like the CPU and then the RAM. And then all you have to do is ask him to send you the graphics card. I just tell him to type in graphics and then click the first one. I think it's like system information or something like that, or system something. I don't know, whatever. And then you could go to graphics and it'll show you exactly what CPU, what RAM, and what graphics card is inside of there. That's how I find out exactly what's in the computer. So those are some of the tips that I have with buying used. Don't lowball people, but you can offer people less money. If they're asking way too much already, don't even bother talking them down, because they're not going to move down at all. But what I find is that people who are already asking sort of a relatively fair price, you could probably talk them down. I've talked people down a few $100. The MacBook Pro I just recently bought that I was telling you guys about back in July, I offered the guy $600, and I think he was originally asking $800, and he just accepted it. So a lot of people just want the money. If you tell them you have cash and you can be reliable, say, hey, I'll meet you. Where do you want to meet? Let's meet at a Starbucks. I have cash. People are willing to meet with you because there are so many people. Trust me, I've sold on like Craigslist or OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. I've sold a bunch of computers on there, and I've had people flake out on me all the time. That's why I only sell on eBay anymore, because it's just got so frustrating selling to people locally. Those are some of the tips that I have when I buy used. And another problem you might see with buying used is you get no support. Again, that's something you need to understand. If it breaks, it's on you. You need to learn how to fix it. I'm comfortable with that risk. Some people just aren't. And the last thing, and I think the grossest for me, is that you just don't know what people did with that computer. I'm not saying they did anything inappropriate with it, like if it's a laptop, but stuff gets inside the keyboards, and like I said, you don't know what they did with a laptop. You don't know what they did inside the keyboard. I just know that. It could be kind of gross. So those are my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts? So I have a lot of fun buying used computers. I've made a lot of it's like a hobby for me, really. And I've made a lot of weekend trips out of it with my girlfriend. We were going to Philadelphia already, so I was like, I'm going to find a computer on the way. I found one on the way, bought it for my cousin, and yada, yada, yada. So I've done a lot of cool things like that. This next weekend, I'm kind of looking at maybe going to Buffalo because of Niagara Falls. I found a computer out there. That's a long drive. I don't mind driving, but you have to be willing to be a little bit mobile to find really good deals. Those are some of my tips. Send me your guys' best deal you ever got. I bet I've gotten better ones than you. No offense. Maybe you got a better one than me. My best deal ever was a Dell XPS 9550 that I bought a few months ago for like $140. That's my best deal ever. What's your guys' best deal ever? Maybe the Mac Pro. I don't know. I get a lot of good deals, but that one is one of the most memorable. So thanks again for watching. If you like the video, all you have to do is just hit that subscribe button. That's it. I'm not asking for a lot. Like, I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for you to be my friend. All you have to do is be my internet friend and click a button, and then I'll smile and I'll cry a tear of joy. But seriously, we're so close to 1,000. We're at 890 right now. I can't believe it. It's nuts. Seriously, like, you watched my old videos and I was surprised when I hit 100. I was surprised when I hit like 35, to be honest. So thank you guys again for all the support. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Peace out.